What is up, everybody? Lyle, no hippie trucking and transportation. Just sitting here chilling. I'm gonna wait for some people to come in here, so there'll be a little bit of a pause, I guess you could say. Shoot, if anybody comes in. Trucker Trader Sam, what's up? Afro, what's going on? I'm chilling. Rusty, I'm chilling up here at the terminal. Just got that physical done, so I'm about to run up to Fire and Ice and relax a little bit. Dick Dickerson, what's up? I'll be going up there about 4:30, something like that. Yeah, just a couple more, just a few more seconds before I talk about what I'm worried about. Hey, Rusty, I'm gonna tell you what. The last couple times I've been up to Fire and Ice, really all I did was, you know, handle my business. But as far as the food goes, they used to have some Brussels sprouts, and I only think there's like one person up there that really knows how to cook them. But they were cooked so good. The last time I went up there, that shit looked like somebody boiled them or something. So it was like not flavorful at all. So I might have to ask them to run a batch by me before I actually order them. K Mac, all right, says I drove past him at the pavilion. How am I doing, man? I'm doing all right. I learned my lessons, issues with truck, get my ass home. Like Lyle, let dealership fix it. I'm done with prime rookie mechanics. I don't know if you know what. Yeah, I just rather especially with the Peterbilt, that's a little bit different because you could do warranty work on a Freightliner at you know at the terminal, but yeah, I just rather have my truck put in at a dealership where that's all they work on. All right, so what am I worried about? Man, listen, I think there's a lot of stress going on out here in the trucking industry. And I'm not even joking around about this, okay? I actually it's not all right, I'm not worried about it, but it's consciously on my mind is you just had the Swift driver that shot at somebody or whatever that situation was, and he got killed by the cops, and you have all this kind of road rage shit going on, and with the way certain companies are pushing drivers, I just feel like there's going to be a point where there's going to be like some kind of a mass shooting, and I just don't I is it I'm not actively concerned about it, but it would not surprise me if it some company, you choose the company, that somebody goes in there and like does like shoot some motherfuckers. And if they do that, and it happens to be where I'm at, hopefully they're selective with their targets. But whether it's at dealerships or just you do some shit on the road and piss a driver off and have him trying to shoot at you or something like that. But man, even if I stayed strapped, that's not going to protect me. Like, well, I wouldn't be walking around with it if I even had one uh, in a terminal or anything like that. So, uh, I'm just like, I'm just waiting for it. You know what I mean? Because if you think about now, I don't know what's up with all these school shootings and shit that have been happening since, like 96 or whatever. But, before the school shootings, there was the post office. And it was happening because they were stressing out these people, and they got to a point where, you know, they just lost their mental capabilities to think rational. And I think that the trucking industry as a whole is there right now. And I think that depending on what company you're at and what they are doing might get somebody to that point. Let's see. Rusty said, all right, it's about to get worse. I believe also a lot of stress here right now, and problems are not going to get better for a while. And that's what scares me. So you have a lot of people that are out here and they just feel like, you almost feel like I'm not speaking about me particularly, but a lot of these people are feeling like they're trapped. You know what I mean? Like, and they feel like trucking in general or certain companies might have their knee on somebody's neck. They feel like companies have their knees on their neck and not letting them up. And I just think that all it takes is one crazy person, and you have some truck drivers out here that already are isolated a little bit and don't talk to anybody, and they're kind of on their own. I'm just telling you, it's something I think about. 412 nothing, man. Wait, Midlife Trucker. I did see that video about the guy that returned his vehicle through the front of the dealership. 412, what'd you miss? Man, you just missed, all you missed is me just expressing my thoughts that it's consciously on my mind that I'm worried about having somebody commit a mass shooting or something at a truck stop, at a shipper receiver. You have some of these shippers and receivers talking to you all crazy, and there might just be that one guy that's like, this is the last time this shit's gonna happen. He might have had a wife or girlfriend, to have a relationship like that go wrong, and then, he might be behind on truck payments or whatever the situation might be, and then have the wrong shipper and receiver say the wrong thing and have him be like, you know what, I'm going to my truck, getting my other gun, shooting everybody's ass. You know what I mean? I fear that, and I fear that at the terminal level, the dealer or the truck stop level, and the shipper and receiver level. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. All right, Romaine, you had the worst blindside back last night at Kroger's in Salem, Virginia. That Kroger, Virginia staging area is horrible. And what they need to do, all they need to say is, listen, once you're parked in this staging area, have a sign, move your tandems to the back. I can clearly remember the last time I was at that staging area, and there was a long-nosed fucking, Kenworth or something, and he was parked right up in front of me, or where I had to go to get back over my trailer, and he wasn't even backed up all the way. If you back into those spots, back in as far as you can. Yeah, that place could be a nightmare. Rusty agrees. Earl, what's up from Sacramento? You see that boy from Swift went out busting the police? I'm telling you, I did see that. And I just think you're going to have a lot of people under some serious stress. And I don't actively worry about it, but it's something that I do think about. He was a lease driver, I can imagine. I'm betting Prime has concrete Ballers to keep a driver from returning the semi to the Millennium Building. Man, I wouldn't be worried about anybody returning to the truck to the Millennium Building. I'd be worried about somebody stepping in there. For one, two, surprised it hasn't happened a lot more. I'm just telling you, because you get a lot of, I'm just telling you, you get some of these truck drivers that have been out here for years, and then, you know, they're already a little kind of socially off a little bit, might not have a good, you know, might not have a good network to blow off steam, or, you know, whatever it is. And anyway, I've noticed that foreign drivers are not being tolerated anymore. My last 90 refused to drive or load because he couldn't speak English. Shippers and receivers, truck stops are sick of him. And you know what? I've noticed that too, and I think that it's going a little too far. I think that a lot of those guys are getting lumped in together. And, you know, there might be a certain percentage of them that can't speak English, or, you know, doing like crazy shit at truck stops or whatever. But I wouldn't throw all of them into that. You know, I see a lot of, you know, people saying they take cheap freight. Well, you know what? Cheap freight depends on who's pulling it. Now, I personally can't be against somebody that's in a position where they have low overhead and they're able to do what they could do. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that they're the ones that are low. I don't think there's that many of them that are capable of lowering, you know, the entire market. So I don't know. That's just me. But that being said, never been cussed at by no foreign driver, whether that be European, Mexican, you know, like African. I've never had anybody talk shit to me or anything like that, but I have had some English speaking motherfuckers talk shit to me. So, a midlife trucker, would there be a lock on the trailer? Haha, I'm pretty sure that was a joke right there. For real, I had a couple students with Prime. I can see them doing that shit. Yeah, I haven't necessarily had a student like that, but I have been in truck stops. And I think I've seen truck drivers with that 1,000-yard stare, like they just got out of the jungle in Vietnam or something like that. So I've seen that. And you just never know what's going on in people's minds. Shoot. Dick Dickerson, that's a huge part of the problem as well. Shippers need to have responsibility for who they let haul their freight. I can agree with that to some degree, but a lot of that's just going to be about the money. Dick Dickerson, let's not forget, most Americans now have below $100. I'm sure he means in the bank. First week in the books with Schneider, it was okay. Yeah, if I do another live, let people know about that, because I don't know anything about that. Good brother, why do I have to delete my live? Sometimes I might go off the reservation a little bit more than I want to. That might be why. And sometimes I may not know, and I'll be like, maybe I might have. Let me just take it. But I'm really not talking about the company that I work for until things level out a little bit, because too many changes out here for me to be talking about what's going on. All right, it's just a lot of people don't understand the concept of etiquette. then want to play victim when they get called out. Yes, a giant culture clash, man. Now, if there's some people I see cooking in the truck a lot, it will be a lot of foreign drivers. So, I mean, I've literally seen people washing out crock pots in the fuel island. And I'm not talking about like, you know, you're just rinsing it out. I'm talking about like fucking noodles and everything. You know, I think I did a video about that one time. I forget what truck stop I was at, but dude was just out there like literally emptying his crock pot and washing out with like a bunch of shit in it right there at the fuel island. Romaine the trucker getting that shower in. Good to go. Check you out later. So no apology. I don't know who you're talking about with that. Fundamentals and journeys. What's up? Good morning, brother. All right. IQ Lyle not in. GAD Sean making $500 a week, $500 cash advance. Must be talking about Super Ego. You gonna be home for Easter? No, I'm going home. I would have been home already, but my son decided to take my wife to Mexico. So what I really like to do, because I'm usually not somebody that could just raw dog a physical, I like to go home before I take my physical, go, you know, hit the gym, cardio, all that for a good 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks or whatever, then come into the terminal, take my physical, all that shit. But since they're doing this, I had to do it backwards. So I had to come into the terminal first and get my physical. Then I'm going to go home on the 5th of next month. They're going to be gone from the 10th, I think, to the 17th. And I'm going to be gone so long. I don't even know how long I'm going to be gone. I already told my fleet manager he might need to put me with the trainer because I'm going to be gone that long. I might need to brush up on my driving again. 100 IQ. All right. All right. If you make good money and your truck is paid off, why do you spend so many weeks out on the road? Because I wasn't supposed to spend this many weeks on the road. Like I said, I wanted to be gone a long time. I didn't know that my wife and son were going to be gone until the last time I was home. Otherwise, I would have went home. I would have left home earlier. And then it just changed shit up. And, there's some stuff that I want to do as well. You know what I'm saying? I still want to get, it's probably around the time that I need to get my house painted. Boom, $6,000 right there. There's a bathroom that we want to remodel. Boom, that's probably 30. Who knows what the tariffs and shit. There's going to be a bunch of money there. Just shit like that. And plus, I was maybe thinking about running it up a little bit more over the summer. And then when winter comes, then start taking the majority of my time off then. If someone says your nose is big, you can ignore them because your nose is bigger than theirs, okay? Good brother. All right, so they got a conversation between the good brother and G80. Have you ever seen a ghost on the road? No, I'm not a believer in ghosts. Maybe that's why I haven't seen them. All right, Chris just got on. What am I worried about? Chris, I'm worried about the stress level of truckers right now. And I think truck drivers right now are under so much stress that I worry about either being at a terminal, being at a truck stop, being at a shipper receiver, and have that one guy that's got pushed too far go in there and just shoot up the place. And I'm just hoping they got selective, they're selecting their targets carefully. I don't want to get caught up in the crossfire, stuff like that. But you take, this market, and like I said, I really haven't felt it all that much personally. I mean, I did when I had multiple trucks and stuff like that, but luckily my truck got paid off right before I started seeing like a decline in rates. But you have people that have been out here, for when the rates start kind of dropping. I don't know. Let's even just say 3 years ago. You have people that are like potentially peaking right now as far as stress goes. And then depending on what company you work at and what they're changing, you have people that are now feeling that pressure as well. And I just think you get one unstable trucker, that feels like there is no end. I don't worry about it, but I do think about it. That's kind of what I was talking about. All right, all right. What's up, Tyree Singletary? Sounds like loves and Tukamari, man. I think I was at a Petro. I just don't remember what Petro I was at. How much longer can you run your truck with no payment? Man, who knows? I'm not even going to talk about that because I have no idea what this company is doing in terms of the changes they're making. So I don't know. I would probably say, I don't know. They just changing stuff. All right. I'm halfway. All right. Jarrell James, I'm halfway through TNT. Learn as much as I can. You were one of my main sources on info. Appreciate the content. Listen, you're going to have a choice to go company or lease. When you make that decision, I would probably not make money the main reason why I would choose one or the other. There's a lot of benefits to going company, 401k. And if you do, there's some of these guys out here that are running fleets at Prime. If you're not sure, you could probably do well on one, probably almost virtually the same as you would make just being a lease driver on your own. But the benefits, 401k, free physicals, if the truck breaks down, you don't got to worry about that. You get a hotel room, you get, vacation pay, you get all kinds of shit like that. Lease, in this market, and like I said, I only have a 6-week sample of actually 4 out of my last 6 weeks have been, I would say, lower than, well, they've all been lower than usual, but two of those weeks would have been kind of like on the verge of being on average. So I have a small sample size, but the advantages to leasing, the reason I pulled the trigger on a lease as opposed to going company was that home time was not kicking. Like there was no way I was gonna be able to go home for 4 days after being out a month. That just didn't make sense to me. That's why I eventually chose to go lease. And I do think that some fleet managers, if you got a good relationship and you're a good runner and you've been out a long time, because technically you're not supposed to be able to build up days. So you're technically not supposed to be able to run 8 weeks and then take 8 days off. But I do know people that have done that. So a lot of that would depend on relationships with fleet managers, stuff like that. But that's not enough time to be home. That's not enough time to catch up on your fucking sleep if you've really been running. All right. At the Sheets in Salisbury, North Carolina, Clayton. Man, I was just up there. a couple weeks ago. I remember you saying them hot dogs was for $1. I've never got no hot dogs at a truck stop. Tim Travels is the one that was talking about the hot dogs at Sheetz. If I'm getting something at Sheetz, I'm usually getting one of them grilled chicken salads or something like that. Maybe a sub sandwich or something. I've never got. I don't think I've ever got a hot dog at a truck stop. Matthew, good seeing you, big man. What's up? The good brother. I think he's saying maybe Super Ego wasn't making sense to him. Tyree, I've been home for 2 weeks. Winter wore me out. Winter wore everybody out. That was a bad winter. And it seems like every winter has been worse than the last winter. So I still remember saying last winter was not this last winter, the winter we're kind of at the end of, but the winter before was bad. And I remember the winter before that was bad. But then, like, the 2 winters before that were all right. I don't know. Dick Dickerson, that's a great plan. Just stay home all winter and run a local load every 29 days. You know what? I might even see if I could get away with that. If not, it would probably be something like, depending on, the money situation and stuff, I might just run for like 2 weeks, maybe something like that. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with how bad the winter is going to be as well. Driving up 65. Boy, I hope you're not talking about that 65 coming into Springfield. I just ran a load all the way to the receiver that I was going to drop off at Prime. And the reason I didn't was because I was either going to add a whole bunch of miles to the load, bringing it to Prime, going the way, going a route that wasn't going to kill me, and then split that load with somebody else, or taking 65 at 40,000 pounds, and or 38,000 pounds, and there is no way that's a fun drive going through Branson and Kabul or whatever that is. All right, 412 Sheetz would be the best truck stop if they had offered showers. Quick Trip with a K, and actually, to be even more specific, Quick Star with a K. Those would be the best truck stops if they had showers. Now, there's a couple off-brand ones that would even be better than those. Like, there's one on 65, I think, in Indiana, I believe. Compass is a real nice one. Midlife Trucker, I see a driver at a grocery warehouse getting ready to pay Capstone, but losing it instead. Capstone will push you to the edge every now and then. And then some of these little smart ass, like, I'm so mellow now. If anybody would have known me back in the days, 20s, early 30s, full of piss and vinegar, man, I'd have been cussing out a whole bunch of motherfuckers, but I'm just a whole lot more mellow. I can still remember me actively holding my tongue when I was I think I was somewhere in Dallas. It wasn't the good place. I think it was like one of them Walmart vendors. And there was some young kid up there, and I could clearly identify him as being younger than my son. And they had a cone that was sitting somewhere that made me believe that they might have been shutting off that lane. So I went like into this other lane. Wasn't no big deal. I was the only one there, and they were both going the same direction. And then he said something smart out. He said some smart ass shit to me. And I forgot how I put it. I was like, hey, I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I thought that this was, this cone kind of confused me right here. And he said something like, well, every other truck driver's been smart enough to figure it out. Man, I almost lit that. I almost like, if I was like in my 20s, 30s, I would have fucking lost us that account right there. Cause I was like looking at this young little punk, like 24 years old out here talking to me like that. Oh, I would have embarrassed him, his family. Oh, I'm mad just thinking about that right now. Yeah, Quick Trip with the K. That's my favorite place. That's like more, multiple locations. There's plenty of other places that are way nicer that are just like there's like one of them.
Text message from +167-787670. Here's the message. He text.
Hold on just a second. All right. I hate their fried chicken. Man, yeah, they don't have Quick Trip or Quick Star don't have good fried chicken. Usually if I'm craving some fried chicken, there's a Popeye somewhere. Anthony Farrell's from Ireland. What's up? And to be honest with you, of all the Popeyes, the best of all the Popeyes is um damn, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It's a raggedy TA, but that Popeyes was on point right there. All right. Afro, if you're going company, maximize your 401k first year, then adjust after the cheapest insurance. Man, just maximize that out all the way, man. Midlife trucker Tom Bell. Yeah, you're correct about that. CPAP. I saw a bunch of people in there more than normal when they were in there saying that they needed that shit. Like, get set up with it or something. 412 says that's the same thing at Crete. All right. And he gets hoagies from Sheets or the pretzel sandwich. Yeah, they do got a good sandwich up there. Sometimes they're a little off with them salads. I think Love's now probably has the best salads, especially if you get that spinach, cranberry raisin like salad. Uh, Sheets has been putting a lot of them like salad stems in their salads lately. All right. I've never had the flatbed pizza at Sheets, Tom. Yeah, 412. I haven't got their pizza either. Midlife trucker says he didn't even see snow this winter. Man, it was snow. I dealt with snow, wind, and it seems like Peterbilt has a flaw in these like little window things, like the thing that I don't know what it's supposed to do. Keep the windshield wipers from. I don't know. It blew the shit off of my driver's side. That little fuck. I don't know. Whatever you call it. That that piece that goes along your pillar on the driver's side. And then I'd see that Slime Pack had hers blown off, and then I was just up parked in a different location, and they had theirs blown off too. So I've this wind has been crazy too. The poles are flipping. Weather will be bad going forward. I'm not sure I could keep doing it. 412, Tom, I don't think it was so much the snow as much as the wind and cold. Trust me, it's been the snow too. Now, I haven't had it as bad as a lot of people have had it. Because I did take off, I think, February for the most part. So I took off most of February. And then I was kind of, skipping through the raindrops through some of the winter. But when it hit, boy, it was hitting. And I am not playing with these people. I will shut this shit down like in a heartbeat, because there ain't no excuse good enough you could tell them. Delivered early morning, delivery in Fremont, Nebraska. Never get in the truck to warm up ever. Yeah, I gotta kind of thinking about where I want to go once I leave here. Where I'm not. There's some places I'm not going, but it's always kind of a crapshoot when you pick up a load off of the yard. Not necessarily anything other than how lazy the driver is bringing the load in could be part of your problem, and then the reefer needing to go get fixed or whatever, go to the shop, is another problem. It was it was 26 degrees and my beard was frozen solid. That's another thing. I was up in Nebraska when it was like minus 15, minus 18 degrees up there. People were dropping trailers all over the place because their kingpins were too frozen to clamp, and people weren't checking that shit good enough. And picking up a trailer, I'd rather just back my ass into a dock, to be honest with you. When it's that cold, man, I don't want to be dropping no trailers and picking up no trailers and doing all that. Quick Start, Iowa, exit 206 has showers. There's a couple of them that got showers. I think the one in what's that place in Wisconsin that is like exit 305? It's like the first exit once you cross over from Illinois into Wisconsin. I forget the name of that city. I think they got showers too. They were calling that the biggest quick trip in the country, but I think there's another one. They got it now. I'm not sure. All right. G80 said, I'm not advocating for Snyder. I'm just happy I'm somewhere where they won't play with your checks. A majority of these Russian companies do. My last company still owes me $2,000. I'm not sure I would ever work for one of them companies, to be honest with you. Yeah, Brooklyn, Iowa. I hit up that place when I rolled through there. Petro all day. I love a good Petro. A good Petro. Now, there's some shitty Petros I just use for parking, but they got some real nice Petros that people seem to forget about, like the one in Illinois off of I-55 near Kankakee. I forget the name of the city that's in. The TA and the Petro at the bottom of the Grapevine in California. You got that real nice big one in Oregon that looks like it's like a glass building. You even got the Petro and the TA in Colby, Kansas, and Hayes, Kansas. There's a bunch of good Petros and TAs out there, but there's a lot. The best Petro is always going to be better than the best Loves, but the worst Petros and TA is going to be way worse than the worst Loves. All right, 412 says the best company he ever worked for was Russians. Man, I just be too worried about too much stuff, man. Those of you guys just came in, read the title. What am I worried about? I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about a bunch of stuff like that. What I'm worried about is stress in the trucking industry is at an all-time high, it seems like. Almost going back to, like, I remember vaguely, I'm old enough to vaguely remember the trucking strike and stuff that was going on in the 70s, I believe. And I remember that things were so hyper sensitive that truck drivers were shooting truck drivers that were hauling loads and stuff like that. I'm not saying we're there, because I don't think, if there was a truck driver, shut down, that there'd be anybody shooting at people hauling freight. But I do believe that all it takes is, a small percentage of truck drivers to lose their mind at the same time at one of their terminals, at one of the shippers and receivers, or at a truck stop, to just like start shooting a bunch of people. And I think we're like potentially at that point, because you got people that feel like, it's like they just don't feel like things are getting better. And then, depending on what trucking company you're at, and you got trucking companies that are, making changes that you might be taking personal to some degree or another, and somebody might just lose it. That's what I'm worried about. All right, 412 made 20 grand from the Russians and put it down on his truck. Man, why did you leave? Why did you leave them? All right, you were gonna show him where that cone could go. Okay. Super Base, come and go, best name. Man, that's another place I'll stop at. Everybody else, when they get in Iowa, they're like, oh, let me stop at the Iowa 80. Let me go there, man. I stop at the come and go that's like 12 miles west of that. Nice, peaceful, all that shit. I don't gotta worry about 900 other truck drivers around. So that is my go-to place to shut down if I'm stopping in that area, is the come and go. I believe it's exit 179 or 279 or something like that. All right, 412. I stay out 5 to 7 weeks, but they will give me like 10 to 14 days off, no problem. But they were rushing as fuck. Another thing about some of them Russian companies is you got all these people out here talking about them on the internet. I don't go out of my way to say nothing about some of these Russian companies, or Super Ego would be one that comes to mind. Man, there is no way I'm going to put myself out there messing with their business, because if it's a Russian business, there's usually some, unsavory people that are lingering around there that are getting paid a cut. And I'm not out here trying to get killed for talking about somebody's business. All right. The Tennessean on 65 is really good. I don't think I've been there. Hey, Tom, I'm going to have to be with the other person that was talking about that chicken at Quick Trip and Quick Star. That shit can't touch Popeyes. Rakesh, blackened chicken from Popeyes is so good. Yeah, I'm all about that Popeyes. If I'm gonna get some chicken, man, I'd say Bojangles is better than Quick Trip chicken. Like Quick Trip chicken, I never like. I might go in there and grab one of their roasted chickens, one of their fully, whole roasted chicken. But I have got the chicken at Quick Trip. And I just never really been like, this hits the spot. Let's see, man. Popeyes is robbing us blind, bro. I got 3-piece chicken tender. Shit was $22. Well, fortunately, we get those ultra credits at Prime every time we get 60 gallons. So, uh, that's worth $17 up in there. So, usually I don't do that though. Usually I'll just get the Fuel Island food. And boy, the Fuel Island food, there's 2 places that have been banging. Atlanta, if you have to stop at that place, Atlanta, and then Hammond, Louisiana. Because I don't think they're following the regular recipes. I think they're just out there, putting their foot in that shit when they're cooking it. All right, Earl. The potatoes, gravy, and chicken is on point. Almost didn't make it to Chicago from Brooklyn after eating 2 bowls. Talking about food, about tired of that hot food selection at Pilot and Petro's the same. John Wayne, get a job, man. Trust me, this is a job. It didn't used to be so much of a job, but it is a job. There are advantages to living in the South and doing a lot of Laredo loads. Tom, there's a truck stop out there next to a Love's. I forget what city it's in, but they got a drive-through over there, and I think they got a Charlie's Chicken and then some Mexican place. I've never gone there, but I've seen it. I was maybe gonna stop there the last time I went through, but I stopped at someplace and got some barbecue, so I didn't really need it at that point. But all right, Earl, let's talk about it. He goes to Sap Brothers and Quick Star. Man, I haven't actually ate at a Sap Brothers probably in like 3 years, 4 years, or got anything from there. Sap Brothers in Cheyenne is shitty, but the steak place next door has really good food. Usually, if I'm shutting down in that Cheyenne area, there's a truck stop, especially if you're Indian, Rakesh. If you happen to get out this way, there's a truck stop right before you get to Cheyenne. It's east of the TAs and all that. I think it's between the Pilot and the TA. It's called Antelope Truck Stop. And that's I'll stop there. Nice quiet place. They got I've never eaten it, but they got from what I hear, authentic Indian food up in there. Petro in Perrysburg, that's one of my go-tos as well. Quick Trip, Quick Stars in 4 states. Sheets is in 7 states. Yeah, I'll take either one of those. I ain't going to be mad if I go to either one of those. If I go to a Quick Star or Quick Trip, especially a Quick Star, that you can actually do more shopping there. Whereas Quick Trip or Sheets is kind of a little bit more like it's like you ain't, not that I've got it, but you ain't gonna get no bag of onions at a Sheets. But Quick Star has so much shit that you could buy bags of potatoes, and they got shit like that. So it's kind of more grocery, I guess you could say. Imagine Prime Inc. not paying their drivers, talking about we can't make ends meet. Man, I'm not. I don't know anything about what's going on at Prime right now. There are 2 Pilot Flying J's with the Golden Corral. Man, I would feel so paranoid walking into a Golden Corral with a bunch of truckers having their dick skinners all in all the food and everything. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I've seen it. I've parked there. I've never gone into the one that's like in Max Meadows or whatever it is in Virginia. It's the only place I've seen it. Oh, actually, I have seen the one in Ashland. The trucking strike 77, 78 when they were dropping cinder blocks off overpasses. I don't remember it that good. In 78, I was like 10 years old. I remember it. And I wasn't actively watching the news or anything like that at 10 years old, but I do remember hearing about trucks getting shot at and stuff like that. And I just remember it being a bad time back then. But it's vague. Like I said, that 77, 78, that's a long time ago. All right, D's, greetings from Pennsylvania, on my way to Iowa. I love going to Iowa. I just dropped off at a fairway. As a matter of fact, I got to do a review. If you happen to be watching this video, do reviews on places you go to. You're not only helping yourself to remember if you got to go back there again, but you're helping your fellow drivers out. That fairway out in Iowa I dropped off at, excellent place. But I think everywhere I've been in Iowa is good, and it puts you in a good reload area. Midlife trucker, making changes, you mean like installing interior cameras? I mean making changes like making a ton of changes. But let's just put it this way. There's been so much shit going on as far as that goes that the camera's the least of everybody's worries. All right, so you left the rush, just run your own truck, but at least once a week I ask myself why I left. I had it so good, you have no idea. Trucking has never been fun for me. I mean, I could see it. If I like driving, I could see it, but trucking has kind of always been more of just a means to an end. It was tolerable. It's kind of been a little bit less tolerable more recently. And I'm not talking about the money or anything like that, just the culture, things like that. How do I think the tariffs will affect trucking, man? I have no idea. Tom Bell, I've been home so much, my wife thinks I went regional. That's what my man Tim Travels has said, man. I think he has a good gig. If I lived up there where he lives, that seems like a nice little gig that they got going on up there. All right. Tom Bill, how many lot lizards have I seen at the Atlanta Petro? I've only barely seen one ever, and I'm not even sure if that was like a real lot lizard. I think that was more somebody that was actually, they might have been trying to scam, but I don't think it was that. What I see more at the Petro in Atlanta is more people up there trying to fucking shine your rims and all that kind of stuff. That's what really I see more of out there. The guy assaulted me with milk. How's dairy? Yep. All right. Are you talking about the place near the Wyoming-Nebraska state line? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Earl. Antelope Truck Stop. There are 7 naf-nafs now. I just got some naf-nafs, I don't know, a week and a half ago. Drove by the one that was in near St. Louis. Keep forgetting the name of that damn city. Yeah. Ran in there, went through the fuel island. I think I got some DEF or something. Waited for the truck in front of me to pull up. Went in there, ran in there, got it. Boom. Yeah, that stuff. Tito's and soda. What's up from Fort Worth? What's going on? Man, I spent so much time in Fort Worth and Dallas and all that last week. I'm just surprised. It's like one of the very few times I've ever driven through that area and haven't missed an exit. They're doing so much construction work down there, the GPS gets thrown off a little bit. And it was still messing up, but I still didn't take the wrong exit. So that's been good. Or that was good. Tom Bell, have I ever been to the Stratford, Missouri 19 real Indian food? See, I'm not sure I'd want real authentic Indian food. See, I think I'd like the more, westernized version of that stuff, because I think you could be a little too Indian for me. So I've never really got straight up Indian food at a truck stop. If I was, the Big Apple, I've been tempted to do it at that Big Apple truck stop down there closer to Joplin. And they always have parking for the most part. Ruther Glen, Virginia, Elkton, Maryland have Golden Corrals. They require use of gloves. Yeah, I don't know. Real lot lizards are in Memphis, Lodi, California, and Albuquerque. I stayed in Lodi, but I would never stop in Memphis and Albuquerque. I mean, that truck stop, the only truck stop I know in Albuquerque, directly in Albuquerque, is that TA, and that's a shit show. They got Flying J a little further down there that I haven't stayed there in years, but they got that taco truck next to them, so that would be all I'd be looking at there. And then Memphis, I mean, there's too many good truck stops before Memphis and after Memphis for me to stop in Memphis. Same thing with Albuquerque. And Lodi, it's been a long time since I stopped there. The buttered chicken on top of rice with garlic bread is pretty damn good. Easy to make in the air fryer. That's what I was thinking about getting if I stopped at an Indian place. All right, so anyway, that's all. Just wanted to run in here real quick and talk about the fears that I have that somebody's going to lose their mind out here. Because anybody can have a mental break, right? Like, midlife trucker. Can you imagine? I'm not even going to say her name because I don't, could you imagine old girl that we watch her videos? I could see that. I don't know if she's dangerous, but if you took what's going on with that situation and put that to somebody that would be a little bit more aggressive, because she's like absolutely crazy. And I think there's more of those people out here than anybody understands. And I'm telling you, you got people out here talking crazy, whether they're dispatchers or, safety departments or shippers or receivers. You're going to say the wrong shit to the wrong person one time. And I could just see it. Anyway, that's about it. I'm about to get off here and relax. I'm going to run up to Fire and Ice here a little bit later and I don't know if I'm going to get a steak or what I'm going to do up there, but do something like that. Hey, midlife trucker, could you imagine, old girl who we watch her videos, if she was a guy that was like aggressive and had some mental shit going on like that? Dopes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But her videos are so funny when she's talking about they keep messing with they keep messing with me with this ass shit. I mean, if there's one person's videos I'm gonna watch every single time, that's the one right there. But but even her, I could see her flipping out at some point. I don't think she has a CDL anymore. I think she gave that up when she quit trucking. Dope Strings rode straight through Springfield. Man, don't stop here for no reason other than if you gotta be here. So anyway, that's about it. I'm about to roll up out of here, man. It's always good to stop in and say what's up to everybody. All right, before I get off, Dope Strings, why would you want to stop at the terminal? Like, here's what I don't get. I know people that have a 10-hour break. They're going to take a 10-hour break, right? They come through the terminal to take a 10-hour break and then move on from there. Man, if it's going to take, it took me an hour and a half to get through the inbound last time. If it's going to take me an hour and a half minutes to get in and potentially an hour or a half hour to get out, that's already taken up 2 hours of my time. And don't let me have to deliver next to the terminal. Now I don't know if I need to leave, for example, the Associated Grocers. Do I need to leave 20 minutes before my appointment time or an hour and 20 minutes before my appointment time? Yeah, midlife trucker, she kills me with all that, man. Especially when she's talking about that ass shit. I mean, she kills me. I always send her videos to one of my drivers that used to drive for me. We always crack up off of that stuff. So anyway, I'm about to get off here. I appreciate you guys stopping by. As always, comment, subscribe. I'm out.